What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video we've got another tier list, and we're going with the ugliest fighters in the UFC. You know, there are some clapped individuals in the UFC, there are some ugly motherfuckers, but we're going to go through all of them in today's video, and we are going to determine who is the ugliest of the ugly, who is the most gremlin of the gremlins out of every single one of the just atrocious looking UFC fighters. This video is probably going to get demonetized, so I'd appreciate a like or a subscription, or maybe go watch some of my other videos that aren't demonetized. That would be appreciated. But we're going to start off here. Just before we get started here, I'm going to talk you through the tiers. So, we've got the top tier, which is King of the Gremlins. That's for one individual and one individual only. Then we've got Jump Scare. Then we've got Severely Inbred, Distant Inbred, Clapped, and then just funny looking down at the bottom. Just for those people that, you know, they look a bit weird. But we're going to start off with the first person, and let's run with Magomed Ankalaev. He's going in Severely Inbred. This man is not the most attractive looking Donny, you know. He's not getting any modelling gigs, is all I'm going to say. I don't think he's in that kind of line of work. It's a good thing he's a fighter, because otherwise there's no chance he makes it in any other profession in the world. Maybe goat farming or something like that, because he's probably already rooted half of them. But Magomed Ankalaev, you know, just look at his face. He's got a terrible hairline. He's got ugly facial features. Just a clapped looking individual. So he's going to go in the Severely Inbred tier. But we move on to another individual, and I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell. This guy's just going to go in Distant Inbred. Not because he's super ugly or anything, but because it's just true. Like, he is a Distant Inbred, we all know. He's clearly a little bit inbred. A little bit funny looking. So he could just go in that tier, but why would the Distant Inbred tier be here if not for the people that are distantly inbred? You know, Bryce Mitchell, he's got those facial features of an inbred. He talks like an inbred. So yeah, I'd imagine his parents probably like second cousins. That would be something like, not like full brother sister like, you know, the Dagestanis, but I'd imagine some second cousin action going on for Bryce Mitchell's creation. But we're going to move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Blagoy Ivanov. He's just going to go in funny looking. He's just a fat Donny, just looking, he looks like he smells, let's be honest. Blagoy Ivanov, not the best looking bloke. Not like he's probably got a bit of inbreeding going on there, but apart from that, you know, he's just not an attractive looking fella. He'll go down at the bottom. We move on to another tier, or another person, and I'm going with Jack Della Maddalena. He's going to go in funny looking as well, because without the fucking weird nose, without the wonky nose, I don't think he's that bad looking of a guy. Like, he's probably a little bit inbred regardless, but the nose is just a bit funny looking. So I could have put him in clapped, because like, he's a bit clapped, but just the facial features, it's just facial damage. It's not like he was born looking like an absolute abomination, like, you know, the Dagestanis, but he'll go in the bottom tier. We're going to move on to another fighter. I'll go with Maitabek Oralbai. This guy's severely inbred, let's be real. I'm not going to put him in Jump Scare. Like, he's not, you don't see him and go, oh, fuck, Jesus Christ. Like, you know, you're not getting, like, you're not dropping your fucking phone, you're not dropping your possessions when you see this guy around the corner. It's like, Jesus Christ, you did not get the right end of the fucking look spectrum. He's looking like he missed a few updates, let's be real. Bro's still on like iPhone 4 software. Man's using that Nokia software. Like, he's just a bit behind and needs a couple updates. But yeah, it works for fighting abilities, so fair play to him. He's a great fighter, but yeah, looking like an absolute abomination. We move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Gelton Almeida. I'm just going to go with clapped for Almeida. Like, it's roids, it's mad steroids. He's not like super ugly, but his face has just been a bit misshapen by like the amount of like steroids that he's taken. You can tell it's pretty clear that he's on a bit of juice. Lots of like acne and stuff on his face. It's like a 30-year-old man. You know, that's not normal. But yeah, just looking like a bit of a clapped individual, let's be real. Nothing crazy going on with him, though. We're going to move on to another guy, and I'm going with Merab Dvalishvili. He's going in the Jump Scare category. The first one in the Jump Scare. Merab, you see this guy, like, look, you see this face, and you're like, fuck, Jesus Christ. Like, you just shit yourself. Like, what am I looking at? He's like 5'5", looking like an absolute freak. Had to go to Turkey to get his hairline redone. Look at that hairline. He's got the full V shape on his head. He got his hairline redone, but like this man, look at his face. Just so gremlin-like. So Merab's going in the Jump Scare category. We move on to another individual, and I'm going to go with Arnold Allen. He's going in the Distant Inbred. Similar to Bryce Mitchell, Not an ugly guy by any means, but you can just kind of tell there's a bit of like cousin action going on there. He was coming from like Ipswich in England, you know. They're very well known for their inbreeding traits, like small towns. Same with Bryce Mitchell. You know, when you're on those small towns, on those small plains, you know, there's not a lot of options. So basically everyone's family there. You always hear them like, well, it's a small community, everyone's family. Take that statement literally, because Bryce Mitchell and Arnold Allen, they are both the product of incest. So we move on to another guy, and I'm going to go with Amir Al-Bazi. He's going to go unclapped. Look, the guy's like probably like bit of inbreeding going on, but that's the same with anyone. He's not from that Dagestan area. He's Iranian, I'm pretty sure, or Iraqi. So he's going in clapped, you know, he just looks a bit weird, looks a bit of a rodent. Nothing crazy going on there though, but like, yeah, probably some maybe like fourth cousin action, I would guess, hazard a guess to say. But apart from that, weird hairline, weird nose, like, I don't know, just not the best looking fella. We're going to move on though to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley. He's going in funny looking. This guy, just a bit of an odd looking bloke. Like, he dyes his hair, looking a bit weird, but his face, like, he just looks like a bit crackheady, kind of, you know the vibe I'm going for, just a bit crackheady. I'll go with funny looking, like, he's not ugly by any means. He pulled Julian Paiva as his wife, so fair play to him. But yeah, he's going in funny looking. We're going to move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Molly McCann. She's going in clapped. Again, from England, definite possibility of inbreeding, but right now, like, look at her face. She's, is she a woman? We don't know. Like, I'm very against using they, them pronouns, but I would probably make an exception for Molly McCann just because, can we really tell what gender she is? Let's be honest. Like, looks partially like a dude. If she just went buzz cut, like, she doesn't have the biggest tits anyway, so if she just went buzz cut, you would probably think she was a dude, let's be real. So Molly McCann, she's going and clapped. We move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. He's going in severely inbred, and I'm going to put him behind Oliver. You know, Islam, clear inbreeding traits, cluelessness, looking like he's got downs, not the best looking fella, let's be honest. He's always kind of, when he's not fighting, when you just see random photos of Islam Makhachev, you're like, oh, jeez, like, that's a rough one. He's just looking a bit lost, very inbred, like the way that they kind of mumble, I guess, the lisp sort of, you could say, little bit inbred. Islam Makhachev, definitely some goat fucking going on there, probably a product of that, but yeah, he's going in severely inbred. We're going to move on to another fighter, and we're going to go with Anthony Smith. I'm just going to chuck him in clapped, but like Anthony Smith, you know, he claims that he's part black, so I'd love to see him say the N-word. Let's see what happens if he does. But he's just a clapped-looking individual. He's like half pig hybrid, I'm pretty sure. Maybe something going on there with, you know, the pig species, maybe a boar, something like that. But Anthony Smith, you know, his facial features just don't match the shape of his head, if you know what I'm saying. Like, look at those eyes and the nose and the mouth, and then look at how big his face is. It's like everything's like shrunk on to like the front part of his face, and then his head's too big. Like, he's just looking a bit weird. So Anthony Smith is going in the clapped tier. But we move on to another fighter, and I'm going with Mo Usman. He's going straight to jump scare. This guy is like looking like an absolute freak. Mo Usman, a lot of steroids, like Jelton Almeida, but this guy has turned out so much worse. It's full changed. Kamaru Usman's similar, but this guy's way worse. Like, just look at his face. Like, he's looking absolutely freaky. I would not like to see this guy around the corner. If I saw this guy, I'd be like, fuck, Jesus Christ, he's not looking good. But yeah, Muhammad Usman looking like a bit of a weird bloke. Kamaru definitely got the best end of the looks and the fighting genetics, because this guy looking like a failed bodybuilder, steroid head, just terrible. He's got lumps and shit on his face. Like, it's just not what you want to see. But we're going to move on to another fighter, and I'm going with Kai Kara France. I'm going to put him in the distant inbred category. Again, just like the way he looks, I would say, I would hazard a guess, New Zealand, like just some small kind of village little bits. I would imagine there would be a bit of inbreeding going on there. Kai Kara France, he's looking a bit weird. Yeah, I don't know, just nothing crazy. Similar, this is not even for like super ugly fighters, it's just for fighters that you look at them and go, yeah, your fucking cousins probably had sex, didn't they? Like, that's just what we're looking at with Kai Kara France. So, not the best looking fella, but we're going to move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Bilal Muhammad. I'm putting him in jump scare. You know, Bilal, is he uglier than Ankalaev? Probably not, but Ankalaev's visibly more inbred than Bilal. Bilal just looks scary to look at, like you're like, oh, Bilal, fuck, get out of here. Just face, like his face is not pleasant to look at. He's got a weird smile, got a weird nose, bad hairline. He's just not a fun guy to lay your eyes upon. But we're gonna move on to another fighter, and I'm gonna go with Jessica Andrade. I'll put her in clapped. The Brazilian ladies, they're just not the most attractive people. You get one end of the spectrum like Mackenzie Dern, Poliana Viana, Ariane Lipski, and then you get, the Jessica Andrades, and you're like, fuck, like, are you a dude? Like, well, I'm not sure. But coincidentally, it's always the ugly chicks that are good at fighting in Brazil, so that's unfortunate. But I'm going to move on to another fighter, and we're going to go with, who do we go with here? I'm going to go with Jimmy Crute. I'm putting him in severely inbred, actually. I'm going to go there. I'm going to put him behind Ankalaev. This guy, extremely inbred. Like, he just looks so odd. He could go in distant inbred. Maybe I'll change it later on. But, yeah, he's just very inbred. Not a very good looking guy. Looking like an absolute freak. But this is like a case of inbreeding gone wrong. Because if you look at Ankalaev, Oralbai, Islam Makhachev, they're good fighters. But Krute's just like that weird level of inbreeding where he hasn't benefited in terms of his actual fighting skill, so it's unfortunate for him. But I'm going to leave him here for now. Maybe I'll change it as I move on. But I'm going to go with another fighter, and I'm going in with Nate Diaz. This guy's going in funny looking. It's mostly a product of just CTE. He's probably got a bit of downs in there too, but like just look at the guy. He's looking a bit weird, looking a bit clapped, but I don't know. Nate Diaz, he's a cool guy. We like him, but a lot of weed, a lot of brain damage, a lot of facial damage from getting punched in the face. Yeah, the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he sounds, everything about him, just a bit odd. So yeah, I'm going to go in funny looking. But we move on to another fighter, and I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori. I'll put him in distant inbred. Marvin Vettori definitely displays some inbred characteristics, sudden outbursts of aggression, odd facial expressions, some cluelessness, like he didn't know how to put his shorts on the right way. That's some inbred traits there. So I'm putting him in distant inbred. Marvin Vettori, not a terrible looking guy. Like, he's not absolutely ugly. He's not hideous, but I'd hazard a guess to say there's definitely some inbreeding going on there. But we're going to move on to another fighter. And who should we go with here? I'm going to get Khamzat Chimaev. I'll go with severely inbred. He's pretty inbred, you can tell. I'm going to put him behind Islam, though. He doesn't look as inbred. Like, the lip is, like, that was an external factor. He wasn't born like that, but you can still tell he does definitely look inbred. Yeah, for sure. Gotta go here. Not else much to say. He's benefited with the grappling strength, with the wrestling, but yeah, he's not the best looking fella. I'm gonna move on to another fighter, and I'm gonna go with Josiane Nunes. Probably someone you don't know much about, but she's a Brazilian women's fighter. She, not sure if she's a woman. Again, similar to Andrade, but she's even more hideous. Like, the top of her head is like flat, like there's no roundness to her skull. Like, her cranium, it's just flat, like it just cuts off. So she's looking a bit weird. You see her, like, imagine you go into a club, you see some tens, and then you turn around, you get tapped on the shoulder, you think you're getting hit on by a hot bird, and then you turn around and it's Josiane Nunes. You're like, fuck, get out of here. I'd rather probably go home with a dude than her. Like, it's basically the same thing, let's be honest. But we're gonna move on to another fighter, and I'm gonna go with Max Holloway. He's going to go in funny looking. Again, a lot of CTE, a lot of facial damage has probably turned him the way he was. I think he's got a bit of downs too, a bit of autism, But Holloway, not a terrible looking guy. He pulled a baddie, so fair play to him. But I'll chuck him in funny looking, Not a terrible looking bloke, but yeah, just a lot of brain damage, so that's done when it's done. Now we're going to move to, who do we go with here? I'm going to go with Verna Jandiroba. She's going in jump scare because, let's be honest, similar to and she's going ahead of Josiane Nunes. She's going ahead of Bilal and Usman. Fuck, she's going top of jump scare. Fuck it. Yeah, she's just, you see that and you're like, fucking hell. Shout out to Justin. If you're watching this, you'll know. Yeah, she's looking like the female version of my mate Justin, who's got one eye pointing the other way. It's either a product of severe inbreeding or a lot of drugs. That is Or both. Most likely both, let's be real. Verna Jandaroba definitely copped the bad end of the female look spectrum in Brazil. So that's a rough one for her. I'm putting her in jump scare though, let's be real. We're going to move on to another fighter. And I'm going to go with Tagir Ulanbekov. He's going in jump scare too. You know what? I'm gonna move Bilal to severely inbred, actually. I'm gonna move Bilal to the top of severely inbred. And I'm gonna move Jimmy Crute to distant inbred. So yeah, we're gonna do that. He's going top of distant. Okay, so I've changed it up a little bit. But who did I just put? Tagir Ulanbekov. Extremely inbred. Look at him. Just like, he's got that weird face where he's like, he's just got that kind of vibe to him, you know. You see him, they got the eyes, the funny eyes, looking the other way, a bit odd. Yeah, he's just not a good looking bloke, is he? You don't see this guy. Like, if you're any females watching this video, I doubt there are, because yeah, let's just say I don't think that's my audience. But if there are, you see a chick looking at Tagir Ulanbekov, like, you're taking home Arnold Allen over him. You're taking home Bryce Mitchell. You're taking home Bryce Mitchell and hearing him talk about flat Earth rather than even spend a minute with Tagir Ulanbekov in a room alone. Like, this guy just freaks you out to look at. Not a good looking bloke. But we're gonna move on, and we're gonna go with Raul Rosas Jr. You already know he's going in jump scare. Yeah, you just see him and you're like, fuck, Jesus Christ. Disabled, severely inbred, bit retarded, you know, all of the above. Weird nose. I think he got dropped on his face as a kid. This video is definitely not getting monetized. But yeah, Raul Rosas Jr. I'm chucking him in jump scare. You see him and you're like, fuck, Jesus. He's 18. He's still got like 15 years to go of fighting to just get his face bashed in. And he's going to look 10 times worse by the end of it. So I fear for whichever poor Mexican lady is forced to settle down with Raul Rosas Jr. And you're like, I'm with him for the money, but fucking hell, this guy is ugly as shit. But yeah, if he gets a girlfriend before me, this world makes no sense. I guess he's good at fighting, but I don't look like I got dropped on my face as a kid. You know, I'm not the best looking guy, but I put myself probably in the funny looking category. I'm not going in no jump scare. No one's seeing me and fucking dropping their purse. Like, that's not happening. But we're going to move on to the final fighter. And you've all been waiting. Who's going in King of the Gremlins? Who is going to be the top tier ugly fighter? It's going to be Shara Magomedov. You already know. Absolute abomination looking fella. Absolute clapped individual. Severely inbred. Definitely autistic, anger issues, probably a bit of drug use on the side, probably got dropped on his head as a kid. Everything's gone wrong with this guy. He's the product of a fucking... His mum was probably made inbred, right? Probably got some goat fucking in there too. Dad probably fucked his second cousin. That's how he was made. And then their parents cooked, and then probably fucked on the edge of a cliff. The goat was the midwife or some shit. Like, the family goat was probably the midwife to deliver Shara Magomedov. I know the eye thing was not how he was born, but Jesus Christ, this man looks absolutely horrific. There's really not a lot to say about him. Like, he's just looking extremely unappealing to the eye. Any female out here, I don't know why the hell you would fucking date this guy. It's probably going to be an arranged marriage, let's be honest. That's the thing with all these inbred fucks. Like, there's no chance they actually pull, so they have to be arranged marriage. You know, Khabib's wife, definitely his cousin. Let's be real, but that's how you keep the fighting genes in the family. You know, keep the bloodline pure. But yeah, Shara Magomedov, absolutely atrocious looking individual. Definitely King of the Gremlins. He's right up the top. He is the most ugly fighter in the UFC, in my opinion. But yeah, do we adjust this at all? I'm pretty happy with this, to be honest. So we're going to go through it. Shara is the King of the Gremlins. In jump scare, we've got Verna, Marab, Muhammad Usman, Josian Nunez, Tagir Ulanbekov, and Raul Rosas Jr. Severely inbred, we're going to go with Bilal, Ankalaev, Oralbai, Islam, and Hamza. You know what? I'm going to move Bilal to the back. I don't think he's as inbred as the other guys. Distant inbred, we got Crute, Bryce Mitchell, Allen, Kaiko, Franz, Vittoria. I'm happy with all them. All the white ones, you know, they're not severe inbred, they're just partial. And then Almeida, Albazi, McCann, Smith, and Draj. And then in funny looking, we got Blagoy, Della, O'Malley, Diaz, and Holloway. That's the end of the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. What other videos do you guys want to see? Let me know in the comments. We've got a bunch more content coming soon over the holidays. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.